All right, let's talk about a huge shift that's happening in one of the fastest growing housing sectors out there, assisted living. Today, we're going to break down how a new co-op model, the AL Co-op, is basically flipping the script, turning assisted living from just a care service into a really serious real estate and investment opportunity.
I mean, it's no secret, right? As the baby boomers get older, the need for quality care housing isn't just growing, it's absolutely exploding. This huge demographic wave has kicked off a massive economic sector, and it's pulling in some pretty significant investment. The market is just red hot, and the demand is, well, it's undeniable. But with all that growth, all that money pouring in, you have to stop and ask a really important question. Is the model that this entire industry is built on actually working? Is it fair? For the residents, for their families, or even for smart investors? Let's dig in. Okay, so here's the heart of the problem. The old-school assisted living model is all about renting. And listen, anyone who knows anything about real estate knows that a rental model comes with some very real, very specific downsides, both financially and, psychologically. This image here just says it all, doesn't it? It's the classic renter's trap. Over on the left, you see that institutional-looking system where residents are treated like tenants, plain and simple. Every single rent check is a sunk cost. It builds zero equity. It's just gone. And you can see, with that kind of institutional control, they have almost no say in how the place is actually run. Let's really break down what's wrong here. First, sunk costs. Families are just pouring money into something they will never, ever own. Then you get hit with these unpredictable price hikes. And because some faraway corporation is calling all the shots, you have no say. The standards can be totally opaque. And maybe the most frustrating part for families? The limited visibility. So many of these places actually ban in-room cameras, leaving families completely in the dark. So if renting is the problem, what's the answer? Well, this is where a really disruptive new idea comes into play, the AL Co-op. It's a model that totally flips the script by replacing renting with actual ownership. And this slide really shows you that shift perfectly. On the right, you see we've moved from that cold, institutional building to a warm, residential-style home. But look closer at the key difference: member-governed standards and member-approved monitoring. This isn't just about looking nicer. It's a fundamental power shift. Here, the residents are the members, and the members, they're the owners. So let's put it side by side. It's pretty stark. On one side, you've got the rental model, sunk costs, no control. On the other, the ownership model. You get the potential for appreciation, for building real equity. Instead of mysterious corporate standards, you have standards governed by the members themselves. And that total lack of visibility? It's gone, replaced by member-approved monitoring. You're basically trading a liability for a tangible asset. It's that simple.
Now, for all the investors and real estate pros watching, this is where things get really, really interesting. We're not just talking about a better way to provide care. We're talking about an entirely new asset class. To put a number on it, the estimated entry cost for a membership is around $200,000. But it's so important to think of this not as a healthcare expense, but as what it is, the purchase price for a real asset in a super high-demand sector. And yeah, just like any other real estate deal, these memberships might be eligible for finance.
And the flexibility for an investor here is just fantastic. I mean, you can buy it for an immediate family need, sure. Or you can think like a landlord. Buy a unit now, lease it out, and generate a steady income stream. And of course, because you own the thing, you can always sell it later and hopefully benefit from some real equity growth.
Okay, so if you're a real estate agent, how do you even think about this? Well, this isn't your typical commercial real estate play. This is a brand new category of residential-style property, and it lines up perfectly with what you already do.
This quote right here just nails it. You are not selling some massive multi-million-dollar care facility. No, you are helping people buy and sell individual units, just like you would with a condo or a townhome. The whole buyer's psychology is residential, not institutional.
So what's the opportunity for you as an agent? Well, you're dealing with a residential-style buyer, which you already get. You're tapping into a huge investor-fueled demand for care housing. And these units, they can be leased or sold just like any other property in your portfolio. And the best part? It's usually covered under a standard real estate license, which means you have a direct path into a brand new, fast-growing housing category. At the end of the day, all of this, the financial upside, the better care, it all comes from one simple, powerful concept. Ownership means control. When the members are the owners, the entire game of transparency and accountability just changes for the better. And this is the real difference maker. Think about it. In a traditional facility, if you don't like the food or the staffing, what can you do? Your only real option is to leave. But here, members have a voice and a vote. They have a direct say in shaping their own home, from how it's run to the standards of care.
Let's just sit with this question for a second, because this is a source of so much stress and frustration for so many families. The industry line is always privacy, but for a lot of people, it just feels like an excuse to avoid being held accountable. And that leads us to this powerful idea. Transparency isn't just a nice little buzzword or a feature on a brochure. It is a fundamental form of protection for the people living there. I mean, when there's nothing to hide, there's nothing to be afraid of.
And this is exactly how the ALCO-op model makes sure everyone is accountable. It's like a self-reinforcing loop. It all starts with the members governing everything. That leads to member-approved monitoring. That transparency then helps enforce high standards, which are then maintained by everyone watching out for each other. It's a system built on real trust and real control.
So we end up right back where we started. The old model creates this, which you could call a renter's gap, this big hole where your equity and control should be. This cooperative model, it just closes that gap. It turns a pure expense into a potential asset, and it transforms powerless tenants into empowered owners. So the only question left to ask is this the future of residential care and real estate investment?